women in politics is something that I don't believe in. Like, I don't think that's a woman's place. So,
first on the line, good friend of the show, Jess White. Jess, how are you doing this fine day?
hello, Rob.
How's it going?
I'm good. I heard that yesterday that you called for me to come on.
Well, I was trying to grift money because I figured you spent money to kick Grid and he would be more than happy to spend money to kick you. So I was like, oh, Jess, why don't you come on for a minute? And I assumed Grid would return the favor to you. But
yeah, I don't come up on the panel here because you talk about politics, and women in politics is something that I don't believe in. Like, I don't think that's a woman's place. So I don't talk much on it unless it's specific things.
Yeah, I have to say, it's something that I have a slight disagreement with you and others about. I don't have a problem with women being involved in politics. There's a question as to whether or not women should be allowed to vote. I understand that. I actually think women should be allowed to vote. But as far as having an opinion and pushing for advocacy of issues, I don't have a problem with that. I think that oftentimes the average woman, if we looked at it in their propensity for voting, at least in the United States, ends up voting for positions that I find to be abhorrent. But on the other hand, some of the people I hear that, particularly on cultural issues, that are most informed are people like Rachel Wilson, who I think absolutely shreds many of these feminists and other people, including men, on sort of democratic politics. So I don't have a problem with it, if I'm honest with you. But I understand people, you may disagree.
Well, I think it depends. In my opinion, it depends if you have skin in the game or not.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps. But if we turn the argument around, like, isn't this
I think
sort
it
of
applies to men too, yeah.
Yeah, like the women that say men can't have babies, so they have no say in abortion?
No, but in terms of, like, politics in general, both genders, male or female, I'm pretty neutral across the board, where if you don't have skin in the game and you're not actually, like, there's nothing kind of that is there. Like, men have to be drafted to war and all sorts of shit. If you don't have any skin in the game, I don't think you belong there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'll be honest. I don't know if you heard me talking about this, Jess, but I went to a tax person today because I don't know. In Australia, I assume it's similar here. Do you guys have an income tax over there?
Yeah.
So I have always had a job where you get what's called a W-2, which basically your employer takes money out of your check. And so then at the end of the year, you basically owe nothing, or you get a refund because, let's say every check I make $5,000 gross, but then they're taking $1,500 of taxes out. So I get a check for $3,500 and the tax man gets a check for $1,500. But you never really notice it because all I think about, because I'm an idiot and I'm not looking into my finances that much, is, hey, I just got $3,500. Great. Good news, It's
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
We have something similar.
Now that I don't have a job like that, most of my money's coming from YouTube and other places. So that's not taking taxes out. Like, YouTube takes a cut, but I have to then pay in myself. So I went to a tax professional because I figure better to pay like monthly or quarterly than yearly, because you don't want to come end of the year be like, hey, you owe $30,000 or something like that. So you just pay quarterly, to break those payments up so you're a little more ahead of the game. And it was amazing. My wife, who basically doesn't give a shit about politics, is sitting in there with me. And basically, we were told when it comes to federal, state, and local taxes to set aside every month from the money I get 37.37%. So that's damn near 40% of the money I earn straight to taxes. Like,
it's about
bam.
the same now. It's about the same now.
Yeah. And so, my wife's like, what the fuck? And we're talking about it. We went out to breakfast and we're talking about it. And she's like, I never thought about it before, but for the first time, it's like, you know what? People that don't pay taxes shouldn't have a right to vote. If you don't have skin in the game, fuck you, right? Why should you get to decide how the people that are making money spend their money? Why should you get to decide that? Sure, we will decide in some limited social safety net, etc. But why should you get a vote in that if you're not paying into the system?
And that's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
that's about where I stand.
Yeah, to hear you say that, it's like 2 days ago, I doubt my wife would have said that. But today, after we sat through that, it's like, What are we getting for 40% of our? That's just straight up taxes you pay to the government. That's not including sales tax, right? So every time I purchase something in the state of Pennsylvania, I pay a 6% sales tax on it. So then when you factor that in, it's probably over 40% of my money's going to some form of taxes. Now, what am I getting for that? What am I getting for 40%? You know, and then if you factor out on top of that, YouTube takes 30% of everything that's given to me on YouTube. So now when you look at it, it's like I'm actually getting about 40%. So 7 out of the months that I work in a year is going to other people. And then I get 5 of the 12 months. What am I getting for that? Now, YouTube's a different thing. I'm getting their service, right? I am getting something. I'm able to reach a bunch of people on YouTube, etc. So I'm, like it or not, I'm getting something from that. But what am I getting from those taxes? 37.7%. And it's remarkable when you think about it that way. And it's like, wow, the waste, the fraud. And, you know, truly they say everyone's socialist until they have to pay for it. And then it's like, wait a minute. It's fucking nuts. So I don't disagree. It's making not just this situation. I've been like this a long time. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you get less of a vote if you don't pay into taxes. I don't know. Maybe you don't get to vote at all. I don't know. But it does seem like, what sort of idea of stewardship do you have for the country and the wealth of the country if you don't pay in, if you just take? Like, do you deserve, like in your house, Jess, I don't know if you're married or have kids or something, but you can imagine if someone that is married has kids, like very little do the kids get a say in like how the money's spent. They might say, hey, I want this toy or I want to go on vacation, and maybe you listen to them, but they don't get an equal say. You're like, hey, we got to pay the car note and we got to pay the mortgage, and your kid's like, no, I want to go to Disney. Sorry, no mortgage.
They do try that, but it doesn't work.
Yes,
I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 kids under 5.
There you go. But as an adult, you're like, no, man. Like, sorry, we have priorities because we're the ones making the money and we're the ones that have to pay for stuff. We could see it in a different way than just saying, no, gimme, gimme, gimme. It's easy if you're just saying, gimme. How about give me more, right? That's what I'm going to vote for. I'm going to vote for, I would like more money. Thank you very much. You know, and
I'm sure you would like a say over how that works and all of that too. And that people that don't have that aren't doing anything at all, why the fuck should they be able to tell you how to spend your money or how all that fucking shit is supposed to be?
Yeah, totally get it. I think that, 1 second. I think that it is sort of like a topic that we don't talk about a lot. At least maybe some people do, that maybe I should talk more about it. But I mean, the idea, like the amount of waste and fraud that's spent in our government, it has to be over 50%. It has to be. Of just all this bullshit money that's going to places. And I worked in sort of healthcare where a lot of the money came through government contracts, right? And you wouldn't believe the way they piss away money.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But it's not your money. Like if you're making an upgrade to your house, you're going to make an upgrade that you're totally happy with because it's your money that's going into it. So you're like, I'm going to find a contractor at a reasonable price that gives me as much as the closest is exactly what I want. If it's state money, you're like, I don't give a fuck. What do I care if this contractor is paying $500 more than I think it's worth? So what? It's basically fake money to me. My university that I went to was called Clarion University. It's a state school in Pennsylvania here, and they built a new science building, and on the side of the science buildings, just like built into the bricks, this huge piece of copper. And it's like, that's weird. I mean, I think it looks ugly, but I guess some people might say, oh, that looks artsy. But I happen to know some of the people that were like involved in the construction of this, and they told me that this piece of copper cost like close to 7 figures. And I was like, why the fuck would taxes pay for this? And what I was told, now this might be bullshit, it's just anecdotal, but this is what I was told. Well, what happened was that the university had a budget and they had to spend the money. Because if they don't, then the next year when they go for their budget, if they only spent 60% of last year's budget, then the state will say, cool, then we're just going to limit you to that 60%. So everyone that's getting state money has an incentive to spend the maximum every year. That way, when they go back, they could say, give us the maximum. Because if you don't, if you budget properly, then the state's going to say to you, great, then budget again. We're going to lower the amount of money we give you. So if you have a surplus at the end of the year, you're like, fuck, we got to spend it on something. Now, you would never do that. As an individual, you would never do that. You would say, great, I can save that money and put it to something else that's important. But when it's state money, it's like, we don't give a fuck. We'll spend on anything. As long as we're getting the bare minimum of what we need, we'll spend on anything. And it's incredibly frustrating. I saw this, like, working in home healthcare. Like, you know, I'm working primarily with adults with, like, autism. I used to tell them all the time, our company was situated sort of close to the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Property values and everything's much higher in a city than where I live, like 2 hours outside the city. It's very cheap here. You could buy large swaths of land pretty cheap. And I was always telling them, like, why don't you just buy a bunch of land and then buy a bunch of, like, trailers or double wides and have a community of all of these people, because they don't really give a shit. These people I worked with, they didn't care to have, like, a mansion. They didn't care that they were in the city. They wanted friends. They wanted their own place. And instead, our company would be like renting or buying homes directly in the city for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because what do they give a fuck? It's state money. What's the difference?
We have similar things here. Like, we have a system here called NDIS, and the amount of money that the government throws at that. And it's like, it's supposed to be like a health thing, but they've made it where you can have the most simple illness or ailment, and all of a sudden you're under this big, massive government-funded friggin' crap where they've got, like, huge fucking, like, waste of money fucking shit. It's cost so much, the country so much. It costs, like, fucking billions a day.
Yeah,
to run this.
I think most people, now listen, there are hardcore, like, ANCAP libertarians who are like, fuck you, all taxation's theft. But I think that most people fall somewhere in this scale where it's like, sure, we're willing to pay in for, like, the roads, the military, social services. Of course, some mother, you know, tragically her husband passes away, she has 2 kids, she needs help feeding her kids. Yeah, we get that. Some guy gets hurt working a government job and he needs to be paid. Totally understand it. We're paying for benefits for veterans. Got it. But you can only push it so far, right?
Yes.
There's this
That's
guy.
the thing with that NDIS thing, is that they had it first, it was pushed like something like that, and then they started making it more and more minor things that would fall under it, and just wasting all this money on so if you had something like depression or you stubbed your friggin' toe, it's like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, and now you need all this government support finances, and they'll just throw money at the wall at fucking, oh, we got to spend it, we got to get rid of it, because, you know, we want all this big margin for next year. So it's same kind of shit, same kind of stuff.
It's really surreal. I'm gonna play this clip later if I can find it. There's this guy, what's his name? Caleb something. He does this, like, Dave Ramsey type stuff where he talks to people about their finances. And I saw this clip the other day, and, you know, it's a guy or a woman that's like, you know, oh, I make like thousands of dollars on disability because I'm a veteran. And he just rolls his eyes. He's like, you know, every single veteran that's ever been on my show gets 100% disability. And most of them haven't served overseas. They haven't, you know, they had a desk job. And it's surreal. You know, on one hand, you can see the narrative is very simple. I have the utmost respect for anyone who volunteers to serve for their country, whether it be the United States, or the same would be of Australia. I really do. To put your life on the line, even hypothetically, is more than I did. And so if you volunteered to serve, you know that there's a chance you could be sent to war. And that's something. It really is, even if you'd never get sent. And we should take care of legitimate claims of people that served and was harmed during that service. But you're telling me that it's like huge swaths of people that serve in the military in a desk job are required to have like $12,000 a month? I mean, that's fucking insane, right? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
but it's hard to have that conversation because the emotional narrative of like, oh, so you're not going to support these people that volunteered to serve the country? It's like, no, I do, but that doesn't mean that you can't be taking advantage of it. And
yeah, we have a problem here with that. We have a problem here with that too. That's interesting that there's some similar problems there.
Well,
like that. Like, it would look completely different, but also still very similar problems.
Yes, I agree. Well, hey, Jess, we got another caller on the line. I really appreciate you calling in. I do. I'm going to put a link to your channel here. Now, one of the reasons that I think Jess and me work very well together is we just happen, because of the time zone difference, to always be streaming like one after the other. So it makes it very convenient if you're watching one show and one of us end to sort of go on to the other show. So I'm going to put a link up for Jess's show there, and I hope you'll check it out. She usually streaming, for me in Eastern time in the United States, usually probably around 2 a.m., which for you would be what, like 10 a.m.? Am I right? You're like 8 hours?
No, I start around 3:30 in the afternoon, my time.
Okay. So there you go. So
I'm
it's
like a
usually
day ahead of you too. It's
Right.
like 3 a.m. on Wednesday at the moment.
So, well, hey, Jess, thanks so much. I really appreciate the call, and hopefully we'll talk
Yeah,
soon.
it was really good to finally be able to talk to you because, I'm usually hanging out in the chat, but it's great to talk to you.